Hey, welcome back to the Pauper metagame. Maybe for the last time, but not because we're shutting down the channel. I've been putting a lot of thought into where I want to take this particular channel. One of the things I wanted to do was create timeless videos that would look at most, if not all, of the major decks, all of the decks that see meaningful play in the Pauper metagame, and then talk about those decks' interactions and sort of capture the essence of the Pauper metagame in a way that's more timeless. If I talk about what's going on with tournament results week to week and all that, 6 months later, that's not going to be as meaningful of information. But if I can break down different decks and talk about how they interact with each other, that's something that could still be relevant, a year from now if any of those decks are still seeing play. That's the kind of content I want to produce, is stuff that has more timeless utility. I do some news updates, but I want to have at least a meaningful chunk of the channel be dedicated to things that are still going to have relevance into the future. So now that I've broken down a lot of the different Pauper decks, I've been thinking a lot about what direction I wanted to take the channel, and there's different things I've been interested in doing, but they don't neatly fit under one umbrella. Until I realized that there is actually one particular umbrella that allows me to continue to produce the kind of content and look at the kind of issues and discuss things, and sort of present the channel transparently under one category. And that is basically sort of a budgety, value oriented Magic channel. Let me explain that and unpack it a little bit. I think that most Magic players are interested in getting maximum value. I think that a lot of Magic players are interested in playing Magic as economically as possible. That doesn't necessarily mean you want to make budget substitutions, right? You want to play with the best cards that you can play with, but you want to try to acquire those cards in the most efficient way possible. And if there's another tier 1 grade A option that you can use that's going to be less expensive, that's something that a lot of people are going to be interested in. This has obvious tie-ins to Pauper as one of the best formats in the game that also happens to be a very budget-friendly format. So, going forward, I think the channel's probably going to be rebranded as the MTG Budget Magic Channel, or something along those lines. Don't worry, it doesn't mean that we're not still going to have a large focus on Pauper. I would expect that probably a pretty good chunk of the content is still going to revolve around Pauper, but I'm going to talk about some other things that sort of go under the hood in terms of how to acquire decks on the cheap, maybe how to get extra value in grinding Magic Online, how to get started the most cost efficient way in Magic Online. Maybe you don't have any options to play Pauper in your area, you'd like to play Pauper on Magic Online, but you don't even have $50, or you don't really want to spend $50 to get started. What do you do? Well, I want to produce content for a lot of people out there who have financial restrictions placed upon them where they can't spend, you know, 50 or maybe not even $20 a month on Magic. Maybe they've got $10. That's it. They got $10. They need to stretch that $10 to play some good Magic. I want to help those people. I want to give them some steps they can take. And both in terms of Magic Online and in terms of physical paper Magic. So this will sort of branch off into some sort of, help guides on how to stretch your dollar as far as you can, just in terms of the practicalities of where to purchase, what to purchase. We'll also still, of course, be talking about actual decks, and when an interesting Pauper deck pops up or there's a request for a particular deck breakdown, jump into it. This may also get into some measure of Magic Finance as I'm interested in it, but not really the kind of Magic Finance you get other places where it's purely focused on trying to look at what's moving. This card went from $30 to $50. I want to keep this more in the area of people who don't have $30 necessarily free to go out and buy a card because it might go to 50. I want to be talking to the people who might have $5. They can use $5 really well, and their money means a lot to them. They can't afford to have losers. Maybe not everything needs to win, but they can't afford to lose their money. And so while I might not get everything right with my guidance, I think that we can hit a very high degree of accuracy, and I can point people in directions on how to grow their value as safely as possible. That doesn't mean it's always going to work out perfectly, but I think the channel can do more to help more people. Also, full disclosure, I've been thinking about this, and if all I'm doing is promoting Pauper to people that are already into Pauper, I mean that that's fun, but there's never going to be as many people that will stumble onto the channel and give it a chance. But if I present the channel in terms of, hey, are you interested in getting the most value for your money, and are you someone who maybe you only have $10 or $20 to spend on Magic, you don't have $30, $40, $50, this is a channel that can help you. Well, there will be a lot of people that are going to be interested in that for things that go beyond Pauper, for other formats and just Magic in general, even if they're just casual players or standard players or commander players. And then once I lure them into the channel, they get to watching some of my Pauper videos and realizing that Pauper is a sweet format, and maybe, just maybe, it will actually be a way to promote Pauper to a broader audience, which is, at the end of the day, something I'm also very interested in for this particular channel. So we're going to go with a slight rebranding here to sort of broaden the topics that we're going to talk about. But at the end of the day, one of the core foundation stones for the channel is still going to be Pauper. We're still going to be talking about value. We're going to talk about how to get the most value out of our collections. We're going to talk about the best, cheapest way to build Pauper decks. We're going to talk about some of the most financially efficient way to acquire Pauper cards, both online and in paper. So this is something where mostly when we talk about the Pauper metagame right now, there's not the official sanctioning for the format yet, so we tend to focus a lot on Magic Online. And I also wanted to give the channel a direction to more easily be able to also talk about paper. I'd like to be able to reach both audiences and maybe in some situations bridge the gap between the two. And so yeah, we'll talk about different tools and resources that can help people just basically stretch their money and get more use out of their money. This is not really going to be a channel that's dedicated to just buying these really great cards and then you'll flip them next month for a huge profit. I mean, every rare once in a while I might throw something at you that I think, hey, if you buy it now it is going to appreciate and be worth a lot in the future. But more so just not about like basically being a speculative financer who makes a boatload of money on Magic, but more so just for people that want to play Magic and they want to try to stretch their money as far as they can because they don't really have a ton of it, but they really like the game, and I think those people should be able to play the game. So that's what we're going to be doing here. Based upon that, if anybody has questions or even complaints, maybe you're not happy about this, you just want to see the deck techs, leave me a comment, try to work with everybody as best we can. But I do believe in my heart of hearts that this is going to be great for the channel. It's going to be good for also Pauper in terms of being able to bring in different people that might not otherwise pay attention to Pauper and give them an opportunity to see it, so to promote Pauper to a broader audience. Also, I think that the kind of people who are interested in Pauper, because it is a budget format, will be very interested in other ways to get more use out of their money and trying to play more Magic and get more cards and do more fun things for less. I think that's something that's going to have a broad appeal to a lot of different people. And I want to emphasize one of the things I always say. To me, Pauper is an awesome format first and foremost because it's awesome, not because it's cheap. It's a secondary benefit that the format happens to be inexpensive. That's just a super sweet, amazing bonus. And that's going to continue to be the perspective of this channel. So don't think that Pauper is getting downgraded in any way. It's just that when I'm talking in other videos that aren't directly about Pauper and I mention Pauper, it's not going to be that, oh hey, you can play this format that's not as good as these other formats because it's a budget format, but at least it's budget. That is not going to be the attitude or tone of this channel. The attitude and tone of this channel is going to be, by the way, this is also a way that you can play Pauper in addition to this, that, and whatever. It's a super awesome format, and one of the other cool, awesome things about it is it's a really inexpensive format. So you can be playing Magic at its best and cheapest. So I just wanted everybody to know about that. So the channel is going to be going under some rebranding. All the videos are still going to be here. If you notice, the channel is no longer called the Pauper Metagame. Don't worry, don't panic, nothing's gone wrong. We're just going to be going under a slight rebranding. A lot of the kind of content we're doing isn't even going to dramatically change. We're just going to have some more value-oriented stuff coming down the pike that will hopefully help you make a few more, I don't know, win a little more store credit at your local game shop, win more tickets on Magic Online, and basically be more successful at growing and building your collection. So until next time, peace out, everybody, and be safe.